Uh, Next, let us discuss the program design of the uh, generative adversarial net training scheme we discussed before. As usual, we repeat for several times, which we call epochs, and in each of the time we loop through all the training data. So here is our main training loop. And in each of the loop, as discussed, we include two steps of training. In the first step, we train the generator, and in the next step, we train the discriminator. Excuse me. Okay. In the code implementation, it's corresponding to this main training loop. Okay. We allocate two optimizers for the discriminator and the generator models respectively. We will see the models later. They are pretty standard models because in this toy experiment we only work with very simple data and we employ straightforward multi-layer perception structure of the neural networks. So here we have two optimizers. Each optimizer is managing the model parameter of one neural network, one for the generator and the other for the discriminator. In this step, as the variable name shows, we compute the loss function for the generator and adjust the parameters of the generator. And in the next step, we do the adjustment on the discriminator. So to train the generator, it is the steps, the detailed steps is as we have discussed. We first sample some Z from the distribution, some standard distribution. In this case, we assign some dimension. We call that latent dimension. For example, it could be 100 or 50 or something. I believe I have used 100. This will be the dimension of the vector of Z. We sample several such vectors. For example, we can sample 64 of the 100 vectors. So that will be 64 by 100. And we give this tensor to the network we call G. We have GZ, and let that to be the generated X. And in the please be noticed that we do not calculate the loss function directly from the output of the G network, as we have discussed. It is challenging to directly construct a loss function or a learning objective for such kind of generative model. Instead, we give the generated X to the discriminator, assuming that the discriminator now is able to distinguish the true labels from the true data that we have sampled from we have observed from, and the fake data which has been generated by the neural network, the G neural network. So we then have some prediction that is the discriminator's output. The output of the discriminator, we can call that DNet, but I just to simplify my writing here, that would be G X. Okay, and the loss will be compare the predicted and O1 objective. So it's here. Please be noticed that now the training goal is on the G network. Okay, so the important thing here is not to, so the objective here is not to improve the prediction of the discriminator. Okay, the discriminator now should be putting effort on classifying all the generated X into zero label because they are fake. However, the effort of the generator here should be to cheat, to try to pretend the generated samples to be real ones, and therefore to let the discriminator think that they are the real data sample. So here is a contrastive learning scheme, and that is a very smart design. Okay, the implementation is like this. So this is a GAN model. It contains two parts, the generator and the discriminator. When I construct the model, I construct two neural networks. And you can read in the demonstration code of the implementation of the generator and the discriminator. They are pretty straightforward. And in the training step, we use a parameter argument that's called optimizer index, which means we are now optimizing the generator or discriminator to distinguish the two training steps. So when the index is 0, what I'd like to mean is that we are now optimizing the generator. So the generator will be we will implement the above mentioned process. So we will calculate the loss between the discriminator's output on the generated samples with the all one targets. Okay, and the Z is just randomly sampled multi-dimensional normal distribution random samples. Okay, and this loss will be used to calculate the gradient of the parameters of the generator, and we can train the generator therefore. On the other hand, in this step, we will use another part of the training of the training step to learn the parameters of the discriminator. So here is the procedure. Basically, it requires two sides of the data. For one side, it's the same. We have this part. We have the randomly sampled Z. We generate corresponding fake sample from that. The only difference is here, because now we are going to train this one, and the G will be fixed in this step. So the objective of the discriminator is to distinguish the generated X to be the fake one. So we change this using this here. So O 0, because now we are actually in the step to improve the discriminative capacity of the discriminator. And on the other hand, we give the discriminator another set of samples. These are just the true X, from the data batch. So let's call them another predict. Let's call that predict maybe 1 and loss 1, and this is predict 2 to be D true X, and here the loss 2 will be predict 2 or 1. Okay, so this is the implementation. So the row loss will be O1 and the fig loss will be O0. Then the discriminator loss is the average of the raw sample loss and the fig sample loss. So that's it. That's the core training step of the GAN model.